Hello everyone, my name is Seth, and this is going to be a bit of a different video than what I usually make. Super Mario 35 recently came out. It is the Battle Royale of Mario. It is the Fortnite of Mario, as some people call it. And in order to win in these Battle Royales, you typically want to have the best knowledge. And there's a lot of hidden knowledge about Super Mario and Super Mario 35 that's kind of important to have if you want to get successful in this game. Specifically, there's a lot of 1-ups, power-ups, and stars that are hidden in locations that most people don't know about. So today, I'm going to be showing you every single power-up and 1-up in Super Mario 35. Well, okay, I won't be showing you them in Super Mario 35. I don't actually have all levels in Super Mario 35 unlocked. Honestly, I don't necessarily know how to get 2 levels past World 4. And even getting to World 4 is inconsistent at best. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to show you all these levels in the original Super Mario Bros. Running on the NES emulator in the Nintendo Switch itself, through Nintendo Online. And I'm going to be showing you each of these power-up locations through the original Super Mario Bros. Themselves. I do have a little help here, though. I will admit I did not know about a lot of these power-ups before I decided to make this video. I wanted to find out where these power-ups were for myself, so I could figure out how to do better at Super Mario 35, because let's be honest, I am not the best at this game. So I want to give huge thanks to Rick N. Bruns and NESmaps.com for providing the original maps to the original Mario Bros. And then basically giving me a source for me to go through and find out where all these things are in the actual game. I will be showing some of these maps on screen every now and then, but for the most part I will be using gameplay from the original Super Mario Bros. On NES. With that, let's begin with 1-1. Most people know about the magic mushroom at the very beginning of the level. The second question mark block, it's one of the most iconic and one of the most obvious power-ups within the game. But after the fourth pipe, the pipe that you would have to go down to get to the underworld, there is a hidden 1-up on the left side of the mountain right afterward. Now, in Super Mario 35, these 1-ups give you 20 coins, so they are very helpful. I highly advise going for all of them, and every Dash 1 level will have a 1-up as well, so I'll be pointing out all of them. After that, there is another mushroom in this question mark block right here, and something that most people don't know about is a star in the second block of this little section of 2 blocks after the 2 Goombas right here. There is also another power-up at the very top question mark block in this little triangle, but if you have the Superstar, I honestly don't see any reason to go for it. Pretty much every level has a power-up, so if you have the Superstar, I would just take it to the very end of the level. And that's all the power-ups for 1-1. 1-2 is pretty interesting, because it has some interesting power-ups and some very hard to find power-ups as well. The first power-up is in the very first question mark block of 1-2. There is also a star in the upper right-hand block of this little design. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a weird, almost like a mustache design. It's very hidden, but a few more people know about it than the other secrets in 1-2. There's also a power-up at this little hook coming from the ceiling. I don't really know how else to describe it, but you'll recognize it. You do need a power-up to access this, though. Unless you somehow have like a Koopa shell coming from above or something like that, which is highly unlikely. So, for all sets and circumstances, this will probably be a fire flower. And, of course, there is a 1-up mushroom right up at the top, at the very last block of this upper section. You'll have to probably break the block afterward in order to get to it, but otherwise you can just follow with it forward to the very end. And finally, this is admittedly one that I did not know about in 1-2. There is another power-up at the rightmost block of this section right here. If you notice how the breakable blocks do not go all the way as the standable blocks in between these falling and raising platforms. So that's one of the best indicators. A lot of power-ups are in blocks next to areas that should have blocks but don't. Moving on to 1-3, there is unfortunately only one power-up in this entire level. You'll notice that a lot of Dash 3 levels only have one power-up. They kind of suck in my opinion, but it's in the only question mark in this level. You should be able to find it pretty darn easy. 1-4 is pretty similar in that it only has one power-up, but thankfully this power-up is near the beginning, which is very fortunate because there are a lot of fire bars in this level. I do also want to point out that there are 6 hidden coin blocks, but none of these coin blocks hold any power-ups. They're just coins. Feel free to get them if you want, but get schmoving on past Bowser and finish the level. 2-1 is a bit of an interesting situation. There is a power-up in the middle block of this very beginning section of breakable blocks. and immediately after it, there is a 1-up mushroom. But in the original Super Mario Bros., you need to get all of the coins in the previous Dash 3 level, in this case 1-3, and I did not get that during this playthrough recording session. So I was just sitting here looking at the map saying, oh, there's a 1-up here, and not actually ever hitting the 1-up. In Super Mario 35, though, this is unnecessary. The 1-up will always be there. You do not have to worry about the last time you visited 1-3. Just feel free to look right here. There is also a hidden block underneath it with free access to it, so basically a free 1-up if you know where it is. After that, there is another mushroom in the bottom leftmost question mark block of the section of 10 question mark blocks, and a star immediately following that section as long as you don't break this breakable block right here. It's in the leftmost block of this section right above it, but you're going to want to actually be able to access it. I do feel obligated to point out that there is a vine in this level going to an upper section and a pipe in this level going to a lower section, but neither of these sections have any power-ups for you. They just have coins. So if you want to visit them, feel free to, but I don't see much of a use for it. Plus, if you go to the upper section, it skips past our next power-up, which is in between these 3 pipes of different heights. All of them have piranha plants though, so be a little careful while navigating the space. After that, there is only one last power-up, and this one you can still access if you decide to go to the upper section. It is in a very, very, very difficult to reach block. I was completely incapable of actually accessing this block during my playthrough. It is super freaking difficult to actually hit. Like, I have so much footage of attempts just trying to get this block, and it never worked out. I think it would be a little easier in Super Mario 35 when you're actually able of doing, like, the big bounces off of enemies, but you can't do that in the original, so unfortunate. And that's all for 2-1, so moving on to 2-2, there's absolutely no power-ups in this level. Yeah, you'll quickly find that all the underwater levels do not have power-ups, so if you can avoid a water level, I would advise doing that, because there aren't any power-ups. 2-3 isn't much better. There's only one power-up, and it's about the midway point of the level, so if you haven't lost your power-up thanks to all these cheeps, congratulations, I guess. But if you have, it is a little merciful in giving you this one power-up, but still, I don't think it's worth it coming here unless you want to send all your enemies a bunch of cheeps. In which case, go to a water level. It's easier to navigate, in my opinion. Moving on to 2-4, once again, another level with only one power-up, and it's right here at the beginning. It's pretty clear and obvious. Just get the power-up, move through the level, beat Bowser, and move on to whatever the next level is. My next level, however, is going to be 3-1, in which case the first power-up is at the rightmost block of these 3 question mark blocks in the sections, and for the first time, I actually do have to go down, because there is a power-up in a lower region this time. If you go down the second pipe in the overworld, it takes you to the nether region, where there is a admittedly pretty difficult to get mushroom in the top right block of the leftmost section. It's not easy to describe, and it's also not easy to get if you don't have the momentum from the previous blocks, but it is pretty simple to understand where it is. And as I mentioned, every -1 level has a 1-up, and this level is no exception. This 1-up is on the bridge with the 3 Goombas. It is slightly to the right of the cloud. It's admittedly hard to line up and remember exactly where it is. You're just going to have to get some experience casually getting it. But more importantly, there's a star shortly after this section, so if you can't get that 1-up, not a big deal. This star is in the leftmost brick block. It is a bit difficult to get if you don't have a power-up, but if you do have a power-up, you should be able to reach this block with a single jump off that lower section. Immediately following that, though, if you want to use the star to destroy the 2 Hammer Bros, you're absolutely welcome to, but the rightmost question mark block where the Hammer Bros spawn also has a power-up, and after that section, you have a little mini bit of stairs and a section with 4 question mark blocks surrounded by breakable blocks. The bottom right question mark block has a power-up there. And with that, that's all the power-ups in that level, so I'm going to move on to 3-2, which does have a bit more power-ups than you expect. This is a mostly flat level with not very much jumping to do, so pretty much every block you can break has something to it. The very first block you encounter is a question mark block with a mushroom in it, and that's very useful. And then immediately after that, you come to a section with 2 breakable blocks, but neither of them are actually breakable. The bottom one has coins in it, and the top one has a star. Use that to schmooth through the rest of the level because there's nothing else here. 3-3 admittedly kind of sucks. There is one power-up. It's near the beginning of it, but I wouldn't come to this level if you can choose not to. There's only one power-up, and it's honestly not very effective. 3-4, following the pattern of all the -4 castle levels, once again only has one power-up. It's in the middle question mark block of this section with 3 question mark blocks right here at the beginning. Take that, move through the fire bars, Potaboos, and Bowser Fire, defeat Bowser, and move on to your next level. 4-1 is interesting because it's the first level with Lakitus. As a result, trying to get some of these power-ups is going to be a bit difficult navigating between these Spinies. But there is a power-up in the bottom question mark block right here at the beginning past the Piranha Plant Pipe. There are no power-ups in this vertical rectangle of question mark blocks, but there is a 1-up above this horizontal stretch of 4 question mark blocks. Right above the third block is a 1-up. Feel free to hit it, get your 20 coins. Interestingly, this next section of 4-1 has 2 power-ups that you can't get both of them. If you don't want to go to the underworld, staying in the overworld will allow you to get a power-up by hitting the third block on the left of this little pyramid section right here. Just watch out for Lakitu and his Spinies. But if you do decide to go to the underworld, there is a mushroom here as well. Just make sure you go into the right pipe, and make sure you're only 1 block tall or have some method of hitting that block. I don't know how you're going to be able to access a Koopa Shell down there, but in theory, with Mario 35, you should be able to hit a Koopa Shell into that block. Most likely, this is just a block that you can hit if you don't have a power-up and need it. That's all for 4-1, so moving on to 4-2, this is a bit of an interesting level. Once again, another underground level. There is a mushroom on the rightmost block of this undersection right here. There's also another power-up in the middle of this 3 question mark block pattern. Now, in this level, there are ways to go both to an overworld and even deeper into the underworld, but neither of those places have additional power-ups, so move past the overworld entrance, and on the right side of this pipe right here should be a star. Just watch out for the Buzzy Beetle. Shortly past that, if you don't go further to the underworld, at the section with the platforms, there is another mushroom in the middle of this section right here. And if you move on past that, there is yet another power-up, the very first block of this long horizontal stretch. Just keep in mind that these Koopas will probably try to hurt you on your way to getting it, unless you have another mushroom. And with that, we're done with 4-2. In 4-3, there's only one power-up. It's right on the right side of the 5th mushroom, depending on how you're counting, shortly before the first scale. There are no other power-ups in that level, so we're going to go ahead and move on to 4-4. This level does not have any power-ups, but I still want to show you a secret that is kind of important to know if you want to succeed in this level. You need to go up first and then down second. If you go any other direction, you will not be able to access Bowser, and it will just loop you back to the beginning of that section. Nobody wants to be looped back to the beginning of that section, so go up, then go down. 5-1 is pretty interesting because it does not have your traditional power-ups. It has a star, and it has a 1-up, but it does not have any mushrooms or fire flowers. This star is in the middle section of the first breakable blocks you see in the level. It's very helpful with all these bullet bills. And the 1-up is in a very interesting section. You have to fall down here, and then when you fall through it, there's a hidden block right here that if you hit it spawns the 1-up mushroom that could just instantly fall into the void that you might not be able to get anyway. 5-2 is another interesting level, but before we get to the interesting part about it, there is a power-up on the upper rightmost part of this section right here, right before a Hammer Bro, so watch out for that Hammer Bro. If you want to avoid some Hammer Bros, you can go down this pipe to a water section. It will allow you to skip some Water Bros, but neither the water section nor the section of the overworld will have any power-ups, so you won't be missing anything doing that. There is also a sky section, but that does skip past a star, and I think stars are pretty useful in this game, especially in a level with Hammer Bros. In this section right here with 2 Hammer Bros immediately after you get spit out of the water section, there is a star in the upper rightmost block. There are 2 more power-ups in this level. One of them you actually need to be Small Mario in order to access, unless you manage to get a really fancy slide. And the other one, you should be able to access just fine. 5-3 is actually the exact same level as 1-3, just with bullet bills added to it. So, there's still only one power-up, and it's in the exact same location. Should have no problem getting to it if you're good at dodging bullet bills. And similar to how 5-3 is a recreation of 1-3, 5-4 is a recreation of 2-4 with a lot more fire involved. There's a really large fire bar right here, and a bunch of fire bars throughout the rest of the level, but that means there's still the same power-up in the same location. And only one right here. So feel free to get it, and if you can manage to dodge these fire bars, go for it. Now, I've never seen 6-1 in Mario 35. Maybe I'm just watching the wrong streamers and YouTubers, but I personally have never seen anyone get this level. That said, still promise to show you all the power-ups, so there's a power-up in the leftmost breakable block right here after the Lakitu spawn. That's right, there's not a power-up in any of the question mark blocks at the beginning. The hidden 1-up is in this little curtain. It almost feels like an umbrella shielding you from the spinies that the Lakitu is raining down on your head, but in all honesty, it is not a very effective umbrella because often these spinies will just turn around and hurt you. After that section right about here, there is another power-up in the leftmost question mark block, and after that, there are no more power-ups in 6-1, so moving on to 6-2. 6-2 is a very pipe-filled level, and while some of these pipes go places, you don't necessarily need to go down any of them. I think it's a really interesting place, because it's a fantastic way to farm piranha plants. The rightmost breakable block in this third set of breakable blocks has the first power-up in this level, and in this section after the first gap, there is a star on the upper leftmost block. It's a bit challenging to get if that piranha plant is still alive, but most Mario Masters should be able to get it. There is another power-up that I forgot about while recording the session, so I wasn't able to show it off for you, but it's in the exact same position as it is in a similar room in 4-1. You just need to go down this pipe right here, which will take you to another section. You can only access this power-up if you don't have a power-up already, though. With no more power-ups in 6-2, we're moving on to 6-3 with only one power-up right here near the beginning. Keep in mind these are moving platforms, and getting any power-up on a moving platform is difficult enough, especially if it's one of the moving ones like a mushroom. Good luck with this. 6-4 is a more challenging version of 1-4, though in all honesty, the only difference between this and 1-4 is that Bowser throws hammers. That said, once again, power up right there at the beginning. Get it, just move on through, defeat Bowser, move on to 7. Actually, I never understood why Bowser throws hammers in this one. He's a squid. 7-1 has a whole lot of bullet bills, and a power-up in a location that I honestly was unable to ever get to. I know that you should be able to get to this section right up here with enough speed, but I can't figure out how to get enough speed without scrolling the screen too far to the right, and since you can't scroll the screen to the left, it's just not possible in my opinion. If you're able to manage to get this, feel free to let me know. I'd love to see it. The 1-up for this level is shortly after the 2 Hammer Bros. It's on the leftmost side of this pipe. And there's only one more power-up in this level. It's right above the spring. Just take the spring, do a full jump with it, and you should get it just fine. 7-2 is another water level, which means no power-ups, so there's no reason to go here in my opinion. 7-3 is another bridge cheap type level, which means only one power-up right there in the middle. This time they also added Koopas and I think a few more cheeps than usual. But don't quote me on that, I'm not good at counting the cheeps. 7-4 is another level without any power-ups, but there is still a secret that I'm going to show you, in case you're unfamiliar with it. If somehow you get here and you aren't familiar with 7-4 yet, the order for this is down, middle, up, middle, up. You're able to step slightly into the other sections if you want, but as long as you pass through these checkpoints, you should be fine. If you don't pass through these checkpoints in this specific order, you will be looped back to the beginning of that section, and it's not fun. No one wants to be looped back to the beginning of that section. I actually don't know how Mario 35 handles it. I've never seen it happen in Mario 35 specifically. 8-1 is another interesting level. It does not have any traditional power-ups, but it does have a 1-up and a Starman. The 1-up is in this section with a Buzzy Beetle, so don't let the Buzzy Beetle hurt you while you're trying to get this 1-up. That would not be fun. The Starman is admittedly pretty far through the level. It's in the third block from the left in this long string of blocks right here. Also in between 2 trees, if that helps you remember where it is. There are no other power-ups in 8-1, so moving on to 8-2. There are some more power-ups this time, but also a lot more enemies. It's pretty darn difficult. First thing to note is that there is a 1-up right here with this spring. Use the spring right up and try to follow the 1-up to the edge. It will fall off into a position where you can actually pick it up. Shortly after that 1-up falls, there is an actual power-up mushroom in the rightmost block of this section of 2 right here, and that's the only traditional power-up in 8-2. 8-3 is another interesting level as it has these backdrops that could be a little distracting. Don't be distracted, they're not actually blocks for you. The first mushroom you're going to find is in the second to upper leftmost block in the section with the 2 Hammer Bros. That is very hard to describe, but it should be easy to see if you know what you're looking for. And there's another mushroom in the second to upper leftmost section with these 2 Hammer Bros. So keep in mind, the first one's upper right, second one's upper left. After that, there are a whole lot of Hammer Bros, so if you have a Fire Flower, use it. You're going to want to use it a lot. Just note there is also this block right here that stands out from the background. It's just a coin block though. Don't waste your time getting for it unless you really need those coins. It doesn't have a power-up. And 8-4 does not have any power-ups of any kind, so no mushrooms, no stars, no 1-ups, or anything like that. But I do want to take some time to point out exactly how this works. Huge thanks to Rick and Bruns for pointing this out, because it is complex if you don't know what you're looking for, and I think having this map right here really explains it pretty well. What you're going to want to do is go down this pipe right here, which will let you skip past this B section. Typically what B would do is warp you back to the beginning of the level. After that, you're going to want to go to the uppermost pipe that you may need to use a hidden block to even access, which will skip you past both the C and the D section, skip past the Cheep Cheeps and the lava right below, and go in the first pipe that you see afterward to go to a water section. And then after the water section, it will spit you out in front of another pipe that you do not want to go down, a Hammer Bro, and Bowser. Defeat Bowser, and somehow, if you manage to get to this point in a regular Mario 35 match, you're amazing, your opponent's amazing, and you know everything about Mario. So good luck, and have fun beating your opponent in the rest of this level. If you're not too familiar with this section, one of the things that I like to use for remembering is counting the number of pipes that it takes to go down. So I count 3, 4, 3. So I go down the third pipe first. After I come out of that pipe, I go down the fourth pipe, which is the elevated one. And then after that one, I come down the third pipe that I see, which puts me in the water section. And then no more pipes. Just defeat the Hammer Bro, defeat Bowser. That's what you go on. Huge thanks to Rick N. Bruns for pointing all these power-ups out to me in his Mario maps. They helped me learn a lot about this, and since then I've noticed my Mario 35 game has been improving. I hope that after watching this video, your Mario 35 game will also be improving to a point where you're able to get quite a few first places. Let me know in the comments if there are any power-ups I missed. I thought I was pretty clear in finding all of these, but I'm only human, and these maps might not be perfect. So if you know of anything, let me know, and let me know if this knowledge has also helped you get better at Mario 35. No one wants to be bad, and I think having knowledge out there helps promote the competition to a point where it's even more fun. If everyone's good, it's a healthy competition. So thank you for watching. I'm not going to chill out and ask you to like and subscribe. You're welcome to do that if you want to, but I'm not going to force you. Just have a fantastic day. That's all I ask.